Same as it ever was. 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 Water dissolving and water removing. There is water at the bottom of the ocean. Under the water, carry the water. Remove the water at the bottom of the ocean. Water dissolving and water removing.
Water TGIF, ladies and gentlemen. Thank goodness it is Friday. We are back at it in the Oaklawn Today studios. I'm joined alongside track announcer Matt Dinnerman. How were your first official sets of days off?
Oh, fantastic. Just getting to sit on the couch and watch some Netflix and hang out with some friends along the way.
Cool.
But by Friday, today, it's time to race again.
Yes.
Enough of the relaxation.
Yeah.
We love our job.
We
so
do. We do.
We want to be here.
Well, yeah, we put pride in what we do. So, yeah, I don't know about you, but with those 2 days off, one day I refused to get out of my pajamas. I just stay on the couch, veg, and it's so funny. Like when you look at the steps on your phone, it's like 12 or whatever it is.
Right.
I'm like, I have taken laziness to a new level.
You're basically doing
I'm
what
okay
the
with
doctor's
that.
telling you not to do, which
Exactly.
is move, but you're not moving. I can picture you like in a onesie, like watching the Hallmark Channel and like
I'm not a Hallmark.
Okay,
I like horror.
My mom is.
And yeah,
You're not a Hallmark.
I've got the onesie with the pockets, so you could put the phone and the chapstick and the remote and the hood and
hot chocolate, maybe fireplace. Maybe
I always have the fireplace going, but yeah, it's I like just being cozy, and I live in a log cabin, so it really does give that cozy
I didn't
vibe.
know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
okay.
I live it to its fullest extent.
Right, for sure.
Yes. We do have a phenomenal weekend in store for you. But first, let's take a look at our weather page, as this is going to look different tomorrow. So be happy. And I totally, Friday the 13th, Matt.
Oh,
this is Friday the 13th.
You had to remind us.
Emergency rooms are busier. Yeah, it's just weird. We do have a fast track today. Winds out of the southeast at 5 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy skies, and it's 47 degrees. And I'm just going to preempt. If you are going to look ahead to Saturday or Sunday's card, kind of give a little more closer looks at those with a good off-track run line, because I think a lot of rain is coming into the area. So, yeah, Matt and I were talking about that prior to coming on air. And if you're going to be handicapping at Oaklawn, you have to get used to handicapping an off-track.
Absolutely, which is not something I'm used to coming from Golden Gate Fields. I got used to it last year.
Yeah.
But I would always say the turf is firm and the tapeta is tapeta, because it doesn't change. Here we have actual winter weather. And that's another thing. I'm not used to winter weather being from San Diego, California, where you wake up and you don't have to look at the weather app. It's like, oh, it's 60 degrees and sunny today. And then in the summer, it's 70 degrees and sunny
Well,
today.
it's kind of cool because, you're here 6-ish months out of the year, and just in the 6 months, because of when you're here, you kind of get all 4 seasons packed into one. But we like to call Oaklawn the 5th season, the best season. Let's take a look at our news page, as it's already gearing up. I think that we're going to have a showdown on our hands for leading rider Torres and Ramon Vasquez on top after opening weekend, making 3 trips apiece to the winner's circle. And in today's feature, Chiringo is favored off of a 223-day layoff. And we've got a perfect spot for you to do your holiday shopping. We have a new gift shop, so go check that out. And also, you can now enjoy the Pony Express al fresco. You can be out on the apron, mosey up to the pony, order your snacks, your drinks, and never leave the comforts from our beautiful apron outside. And there's also new betting terminals outside, those self-service terminals. So a lot of upgrades that we like to do, all across the board, but definitely our racing side definitely got what I like to call a glow up.
It sure did. And you know what? If we want you here, we want you to be as comfortable as possible. And we want you to be making money along the way. So if you can be comfortable in making money, why wouldn't you come here?
Yeah, and our gift shop has amazing, amazing items. Everything from jewelry to Oaklawn merchandise to some really nice pullovers, jackets, ties, readers, mugs, and everything even for the little ones. So make sure you head over to our new gift shop on the racing side, just past the Pony
It's
Express.
big,
It's
too. It's a
very big,
lot
very
bigger.
spacious, and the other one had a lot of inventory and kind of a small space, but this gives you a chance to kind of roam around a little bit. So yeah, go check out the Racing Gift Shop this weekend. Let's go ahead and get started on our 10 race program, as we are going to kick things off with a $10,000 restricted claimers. This is for horses that have not won a race since June 13th, 3-year-olds and up, and they are going to go 1 mile, that short stretch of the mile run, and do have a scratch of the, I've never seen that before, 2, 1, 3, 4, but do have a scratch of the number 2, Red Devil, and our morning line favorite is the number 7, Count de Monet, but that's changed as we are already taking wagers, and Life is Hard, a big favorite already.
Getting bet, I'm not surprised because he's my top pick. He was 9-2 on the morning line. That could change. What an ironic name. We were just talking about how much we love our job, and now we get to pick a horse named Life is Hard. But in any scenario, this horse coming from Woodbine, and last year, Norm McKnight sending these synthetic horses here to Oaklawn. My first year, I was sitting there thinking to myself, how's this going to play out? And it actually played out well for the McKnight barn. These horses really transferred their form nicely to the dirt. Luckily, this horse actually was claimed by Norm McKnight a while back last year here at Oaklawn, so we know this horse can run well on the dirt. In fact, his better form is on the dirt. Freshens up after a run at Woodbine this summer, and this horse I thought ran a very good race last time out. Went off favored for 7,500, lost by about a half length, but finished behind a next out winner. And it says here the rider lost the irons midway through the race. So with that in mind, watching the replay, if that didn't happen, I think he would have won. So in for 10,000, I think he fits against this field. He gets back to a surface we know he likes, and he is going to be my pick. Life is Hard.
Well, it's funny. I actually picked Life is Hard as well. The majority of the field has been facing restricted claimers, and as Matt mentioned, he was third against Open, $7,500 company. He does give up a little bit of recency, but he's run well off of that kind of similar freshening before. So horses kind of repeat form in that area, and he does have a solid record at Oaklawn. You know, talking about Norm McKnight coming from that synthetic. Remember, the first year Norm was here, horses were firing right off the bat. Second year, it took a couple races for these horses to kind of get their legs underneath them, and then last year, another good flow right out of the gate. So Life is Hard. It is for me as well in the Friday the 13th opener. Dun, dun, dun.
I haven't seen any black cats. I haven't walked under a ladder, so haven't put my umbrella up.
Do you have
inside.
any, race trackers are very superstitious. Do you have any racing superstitions?
I do not, but I did have baseball superstitions.
Okay.
I would always put one sock inside out and the other one regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I will, like back in the day when you would only go to a teller, I would never hold my own ticket.
Oh, you give it to somebody else.
I would always give it to somebody else to hold. And just across racing, $50 bills are just bad luck. Like if you go to a window, an information window, and cash a check, and they give you a 50, they'll break it.
Right.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You will never see a true race tracker with a $50 bill in their
Okay.
hand.
Well, if they give me a $50 bill, I'll say, please give me, 2 20s and a 10, please.
Exactly. Race number 2 is set to go 1 mile and a 16th, and it is for the 2-year-olds. I love now racing in December. We get to see the up-and-coming stars of our industry, and this is a maiden special weight event, and do have a field of 7 because we did have a scratch of the outside horse. Problem solved. Morning line favorite is the number 3, Caldera. The coach, Wayne Lucas, giving the leg up to jockey Keith Asmussen.
And I picked Caldera in this race as well. I think this horse runs like a horse that, A, wants more distance, and B, last time out, I think he might have needed the race. I know Wayne's pretty good at cranking him up, but some horses, they just need a run, and it sure looked like to me like this horse might have. Again, think he's going to love going around. I think this is what he wants to do, a $500,000 sale purchase. He's a My Racehorse horse, so a large ownership group. He got bet last time out. I think you can take that with a grain of salt, knowing that a lot of the owners are going to be throwing some money down on their horse. So one of these horses, I mean, on the board, he's going to be 1-5, first click of the tote board. He'll probably still stay down, but he won't be that far down. But I like him. The Dam was winless in the money sprinting. This is the first foal to race, but comes out of a good race. Speed King, the winner of that last race. He's actually the favorite for Ron Moquette in the Springboard Mile at Remington tonight.
Oh, that's a big weekend. That's their closing weekend. So,
closing night.
Gives you something to do tonight.
Exactly.
Because a lot of those horses will be competing here in just a few weeks.
It's sort of a double. Enjoy the races in the afternoon at Oaklawn, and then shift your attention to Oklahoma for their closing night. So, if Caldera runs well, then even more reason to think Speed King can run well as the morning line favorite.
And if you are an Arkansas resident, you can watch and wager on Oaklawn anywhere. Like that segue, Matt.
I love that plug.
I'm going to go with Kenny McPeak. That's the number 5 Spurgeon. Kenny has always done very well with 2-year-olds here at this specific race meet. Julian Leperoux in the irons does race second off of a freshening. He raced off about a 2.5-month layoff. Ran fourth when going a mile and a 16th in distance. He showed a little bit of late kick, so I like the fact that he's got that good foundation of 2-turn races. And he's out of a multiple stakes-winning turf mare. And the barn, they really do well with runners having made their last start at Churchill, moving to Oaklawn, getting 22% wins. So Kenny McPeak known very well for the 2-year-olds up and coming. So it's going to be an interesting setup. I love to see the 2-year-olds, especially in the paddock.
That's one of my favorite things about Oaklawn early in the season and later in the season, but especially seeing these 2-year-olds. One of my favorite days is the all 2-year-old day at the end of December. So seeing these horses in the paddock, especially here when they're well-bred, purchased for a lot of money, some of them, and their expectations to see. Let's see who's going to be a future star.
Yeah, who's going to step up to the plate. Race number 3 moving forward. This is for 3-year-olds and up, a 50 starter allowance, and they will go 1 mile. Again, that short stretch of the Oaklawn Mile Run, and we've got a very competitive field of 9, and you know it's competitive because your morning line favorite is 3-1, and that is the number 5, What's Up, Doc, from the barn of trainer Chris Hartman.
Not from the barn of Bugs Bunny, which I did like as a kid.
No.
What's Up, Doc? This horse is an interesting horse, Nancy, because Chris Hartman had this horse. He claimed him one race, won by 10. Comes back, reclaims him again, runs him a second time, and wins by 10 again. And the only 2 wins, best races by far. Chris Hartman obviously knows what this horse can do and what to do to get this horse to run his best. I picked Showtime on top, though, number 9. This horse is versatile. I like that. He went close to gate to wire last time out, lost by a nose. But the key thing there is that this horse was running for an open $32,000 claiming condition. This horse finished a nose behind Strava, who's a nice allowance caliber horse on his best day. So this is a class drop in this spot here, which is a starter allowance, a specialized condition that a horse like Strava wouldn't be close to being eligible for. And that's the key for me. 4 starts ago, he won stalking the pace, going 1 turn 7 furlongs, but that tells me there's some versatility there. I think he's the speed of the speed, but if Martin Schwann, who rode great last week, by the way,
he did.
If he wants to take this horse back, if somebody wants to go like a Neon Lights number 2, or maybe even Interlock Empire, then he has that option. So I think Showtime well spotted by Jade Cunningham here.
I'm going to go just to the inside of Matt's top choice, of What's Up, Doc, and go with the number 4, Funny Uncle, coming from the barn of Mike Maker, Ramon Vasquez aboard. I like the horse that this is smack dab in the middle of all the speed. Has it on the inside, has it on the outside, and that could certainly help set up his closing running style, especially coming down the lane. He moves back to the main track after he produced a turf effort, and not a very good one, I'm just going to say that, against some top starter option at Aqueduct, going a mile and a 16th. That was also coming off of a layoff. So he has produced just over $100,000 of his $185,000 of those career earnings have come here in Hot Springs. And it's a little interesting. It says he was claimed from Mike Maker back at that start at Saratoga in late July, and then he ran back for Maker in his last start. So potentially could have been a private purchase, after the horse got out of jail. So they obviously thought enough of this horse to purchase him back.
And the key thing here, I think, too, is getting back to the dirt. They tried to make this horse a turf horse, which Mike Maker has a lot of good turf horses, claims a lot of horses to go to the grass. For whatever reason, last time out, things didn't work. I think that Jose Ortiz, who was aboard last time out, I think turning for home, he knew he wasn't going to win, so he sort of wrapped up. So that 9-length loss could be a little bit deceiving.
Yeah, I mean, he did win on the turf at Saratoga. That was non-2 for 50. But yeah, I like this horse back on the main track, and a really good jockey-trainer combo between Vasquez and Mike Maker, wearing the silks of Flying P Stables. Those bright pink, you can't miss them.
No, you cannot.
Race number 4, let's talk Arkansas breds. This is fillies and mares, non-winners of 2 races in the life, and they are for a claim price of 20,000 smackas, going 6 furlongs, and did have a scratch of the number 5, Sarah in the House. I was going to say that could be a Sarah Hatmaker hunch play, but is scratched today. But Wildwood Queen is your 3-1 morning line favorite, coming from the barn of Scott Becker.
Just knowing these runners from last year, and things could change, obviously, in terms of talent. Some horses, their form goes south. Sometimes they go north. But I think Wildwood Queen's the best runner in the race. A disappointing effort last time out off a layoff of 6 months. But we also see trainers that gear up for Oaklawn. Sometimes they just get a race into a horse, and then they come here and they're a lot more fit. They treat it almost as a harder workout. So Wildwood Queen is going to be my pick once again. Broker maiden 2 back in a maiden special weight state bred condition. In for a 20 tag. Scott Becker, he's a horseman that comes from FanDuel Horse Racing Racetrack. So these horses that come from these lower levels, in order to see these horses win, they need to spot these horses aggressively, and I think that's what Scott Becker's doing, rather than try to find, an allowance race. Based on the numbers, it looks like this is probably where she fits. So I'm not concerned that she's in for a tag. Draws outside of the other speed, as a nice stalking, tactical running style. So she's going to be the pick with Francisco Arrieta.
Well, I love the kind of the handicapping angle that you used, because it was exactly my thought.
Okay.
They decided to give her a race before just bringing her in here and just throwing the tack on her. And it was a non-2 allowance, optional claiming 10. And I think the key, she was not in for the tag. She did race for that non-2. Arkansas breds at that time of year are very hot commodities. You see that kind of in FanDuel. You see it in Indianapolis. You see it kind of maybe the smaller tier tracks that a lot of our Arkansas breds do compete. So I like that she did get a race under her belt, and she went off as the favorite that day. But I'm guessing Scotty told the jockey, just go out there, let her stretch her legs, give her a good run, but we want to keep her safe and sound for opening weekend, or opening early at Oaklawn Park. Becker is 21% second off the layoff, and back in against Arkansas breds, where she certainly has been very effective, and back in with her friends today.
And the thing is, I just noticed this that I wanted to note. She's 0 for 2 on a wet track, and she ran on a wet track last time. Today we get those dry conditions. So remember, folks, it's very important that you look at the track conditions.
Definitely.
Because some horses, they just say, you know what, I'm not into this today on certain surfaces.
I haven't fully handicapped tomorrow, but one of the first things I did do was look at a lot of the sires, because I have certain off-track sires that I've been really effective with, especially here at Oaklawn. So I'm hoping to incorporate some of that tomorrow. Maybe get some good value for my buck.
This is a good segue. We want to honor Lemon Drop Kid today. He passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He passed away today, and he not only was a good racehorse, but he was a very good stallion and a good off-track stallion.
Yes,
His
he
babies
was.
liked turf. They liked off-track. So, we think about Lemon Drop Kid today, just a very influential sire.
Yeah, you always want to honor those that have really left their mark in the sport. Race number 5 is maiden claiming 35,000, set to go 6 furlongs, and it is for the 2-year-old fillies. It's their turn to go to the gate. Did have a scratch of the number 4 and also the number 11. And your morning line favorite is the 3, Dinah's Girl. We'll see if Chris Hartman's going to have a good day, gets to ring the bell, and Rafael Bejarano aboard and assigned 2-1 on the morning line.
And Rafael Bejarano could have a good day today. After this 5th race, actually, he's heading to Hot Springs Airport and taking a private plane to Remington Park to ride Speed King.
Okay.
Yeah, so he could have a big day. And Chris Hartman, these two, by the way, very good jockey-trainer combination. This filly has burned money her last 2 races. Went off favored both times and lost, and never was a threat to the winner, really. But this is an easier, even lighter field than what she saw last time out and 2 starts ago at Churchill Downs. So I think she's found her friend. She should run well enough. That said, I'm going to take a runner that's probably going to be a tad better price, Blue Dazzler, who ran second for maiden 30 at Churchill Downs over a sloppy surface. This runner, first time out, was a runner-up on a fast track, so can do both all right. And I think with Christian Torres aboard, Blue Dazzler, maybe, hopefully, I think can have a little more kick than Dinah's Girl down the lane. But I do think, Nancy, this 5th race, to end the early pick 5, pretty formful race on paper,
Agreed.
I would think.
And also, I'm with the number 9 Blue Dazzler as well. Ran well last out when cutting back in distance. 2 back was 1 mile and a 16th. Lasco was 6.5. And if you look at the run line, did run second, but pretty much was leading the way into the top of the stretch. So, yeah, may not sound like much, 6.5 furlongs, 6 furlongs, but to those equine athletes, it's a lot. It can make a big difference. So I like even just the slight more cut back in distance today. And she's also very sharp out of the gate. So with that sharpness, that quick turn of foot, could potentially be leading the field all the way to the finish line. So it's interesting, Matt, to see just those cut back in difference in distance, how much of an impact that really can make, or even stretching out in distance, can make on a horse's performance.
The cutback from a route to a sprint, for example, even just a furlong, is my favorite angle. Horses are just so fit when they do that, especially horses that maybe you see show speed in a route, which means they had to run hard most of the way, even if they didn't perform. And then they cut back, and the trainers don't have to do much with them in the mornings. You know, if they come back in 3 or 4 weeks, give them a work or two, some gallops, and you're good and they're fit. So that's one of my favorite angles.
I love that one as well. Before we get to race number 6, we are going to take a quick break here on the Friday the 13th edition of Oaklawn Today.
Experience the excitement of horse racing with Oaklawn Anywhere. If you're an Arkansas resident, you can watch and wager on horse racing from around the globe, whether you're at home or on the go, with any smartphone, laptop, or tablet, anytime, anywhere. Download the free Oaklawn Anywhere app and register for a sign-up bonus. With access to past performances, live video, race replays, and expert handicapping data, you're always in the know with no subscription fees. Bet online anytime with Oaklawn Anywhere, exclusively available to Arkansans. Right, Max? Oaklawn Anywhere. Our season never ends. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Hello, Oaklawn. Swipe to Win is back. Every Friday and Sunday of live racing, insert your driver's license at the swipe stations for a chance to win a prize, discounted item, or free race bet. And this month, that's not all you can win. During December, your swipes will earn you entries into our $25,000 Christmas cash giveaway. Just look for the blinking LED lights at each swipe station and follow the on-screen instructions for a successful swipe. Swiping on Fridays and Sundays earns you double entries, and swiping on Saturdays earns you a single entry. The drawing will be on Saturday, December 21st, where 4 names will be drawn after races 1 through 7 to win anywhere from $500 to $1,500 in cash. You can't win if you don't swipe. Merry swiping!
We're off. The Mistletoe Stakes. Butterbean got there.
Butterbean scoring the 11-1 upset in this year's Mistletoe, trained by Katie McPeak, and a beautiful ride by jockey Julian Leperoux. Christmas kisses from our mistletoe contenders. We had so much fun at the barns yesterday, giving the instructions, hold up the mistletoe, give beso, mucho beso, to kisses on the nose and everything. It was just so much fun. And we definitely want to give the grooms a little bit of spotlight because, as you well know, they spend way more time with the horses than anybody in the barn. They know their quirks, their ins and outs, their idiosyncrasies, and those are almost like their kids.
They are their kids.
They're their kids, and their well-being, their happiness really comes across when you see them come into the paddock. So yeah, we had so much fun doing the mistletoe kisses with those mistletoe contenders. On to race number 6. This race kicks off the first leg of the late 50-cent pick 5, and it's optional 50 claiming, but nobody is in for the tag. All in for that second level allowance condition, and they are going to go 1 mile and a 16th. 3-year-olds and up, a field of 8, and the morning line favorite 2-1 on the 7. Full screen, Ramon Vasquez could potentially also have a good day, and this time from the barn of Mark Cassie.
Mark Cassie sending some good horses out today as well as throughout the weeks. Not only sending good horses out, but just quality horses.
Yes.
Allowance, stakes. We're going to see Sandman later on. He was a $1.2 million purchase.
He's expensive.
Yeah, 1.2, 1.4 feels the same to me after a couple $100,000.
It's 7 figures. It's a lot.
It's
so,
a lot of dough.
It's a lot
but Full Screen himself has made a lot of dough. I just look at the horses this horse is run against. You go down the list.
Yes.
Horace Man, we're expecting to see him later on in the month in a stake for Phil D'Amato. Mulligan, Gun Pilot, Federal Judge, Blazing Sevens, Arthur's Ride. I mean,
it's a who's who.
It's a who's who,
Yes.
and this is a horse that has been running against some tough customers. So finding horses here that are lighter in talent and not quite as fast as those graded stakes horses, and we're not just graded stakes horses, we're talking about horses that are running in Breeders' Cup races,
Yes.
the best of the best. So if this horse is on his A game today, even though he hasn't won often as of late, when you look at who he ran against, you can be forgiving of that. The price isn't going to be there, the value, but looking at this race, I couldn't get past the fact that this horse has been running against such good company, Nancy.
Yeah, anytime it's a who's who, definitely give a closer look. I'm going to try to get a little more value in this particular race and go with the Matt Shire contender. That's the number 5, Macman. Christian Torres in the irons today has been pretty competitive at this specific non-2 other than allowance condition. Last out was 5th, beaten just over 3 lengths. But again, that was also at 1 mile and an 1/8 in distance at Churchill Downs. That specific race did produce 2 next out winners at very, very high levels. He looks to track just off the leader, which could potentially be Machine Gun Man, who's just to his inside, and could be a very good setup. And I noticed something, and I don't know if you picked up on it, Matt, but there's, I think, 4 races today where Norm and Mark Cassie have horses in. Every single race, they are right next to each other in the starting gate.
That is
uncanny.
Yeah, think about the odds of that being the case.
I even went and just marked it in my program because last night going through handicapping, I'm thinking, Cassie. Oh, wait, that's Mark, that's Norm. And then every single race that they're in today.
I mean, I wish Mark was here so he could sit with Norm for every race. We can make them sit next to each other and watch the race together.
That's so funny.
I'm sure that they're happy if the other one wins. You know, good for you, Dad, or good for you, son, but they want to win.
Well,
at the
it's
end of the
funny,
day.
and it's strictly a coincidence because it's a blind draw
Right.
for post positions. So one might have been drawn, and then the other might have been drawn last. So it's just like Friday the 13th. Maybe it's a Friday the 13th thing.
Maybe it's a good thing for them. Let's hope that. I mean, if they both lose every race, and they're going to say, "I never want to run against
It's
you
your
ever
fault.
again." Yeah, exactly. Family rivalries.
Exactly.
Especially during the holiday season, we get some of that.
Big
Yeah.
time. Race number 7 is an allowance. Nobody in for the hot claiming price of $125,000. And it's for the 2-year-olds going 1 mile. I love when we get past the maiden ranks for these 2-year-olds and they get to step up and compete against winners. Morning line favorite is the number 4 calling card from the barn of Mike Maker, but look on the rail. We have Norm Cassie and Mark just to his outside.
That could be the exacta. That's
I'm
my
telling
prediction
you,
anyways.
It's interesting.
$1.2 million for Sandman. But, you know, it's not just about the purchase price at this point. Let's see what this horse has done. And he ran third last time in the Grade 3 Street Sense to Sovereignty, a Bill Mott trainee who is most certainly on the Derby trail. So there are no sovereignties in a race like this. And I picked this horse. He's like a typical tappet, just a character would be a nice way to put it. These tappets, they take a little while to get going sometimes.
Be a little cantankerous.
A little cantankerous. They're a little green on the racetrack. Not in a dangerous way, but he's just sort of goofy in his own way. Like,
yes.
What is going on here? Am I supposed to run by these horses or just run around the track? If he can figure out what's going on, then I think there's room for him to grow. And in a DRF article, Mark Cassie actually mentioned that to Mary Rampolini, that we haven't seen the best of this horse yet. He just he's got talent. He's got natural talent for doing what he's done, but he needs to put it together mentally. He's a little bit of a grinder in that respect. He doesn't have a huge kick, which is a little bit of a concern, but the class, I think, can get him there, and he is going to be my pick over Big Much, who I think can run for the Norm Cassie barn. Calling card number 4, he's the morning line favorite. Similar to what we saw with Kale's Angel, a son of complexity.
Oh, very impressive.
He ran on the turf, tried dirt first time out here, and goodbye, got a 93 buyer in the opening day Advent. This horse ran twice on the turf and actually ran okay, ran second 2 starts ago. Mike Maker put him to the dirt, new horse. Won by 17 lengths in a field of 9. But that was at a 1-turn mile at Aqueduct. It's
make a little bit of a difference sometimes.
Oh, I think so, and I think it can be a big difference. So as the morning line favorite and maybe the favorite with that big race on the page, if he runs back to that, he can win, but I don't think it's going to be that easy.
I'm going to go with Sandman as well, and I loved, as Matt mentioned, the quotes that Mark Cassie did give to Mary Rampolini, a phenomenal notes writer for our circuit of the daily racing form. And, did say he's run green. He did a lot wrong, but still ran respectably. So I like that. Still got to get to the bottom of him, and Mark even says if he goes the right way, he certainly could be a Derby prospect. He's faced graded stakes company since breaking the maiden second time out, and if you know, he is intact. So you're not going to cut a $1.2 million purchase, especially in their 2-year-old year, and especially if you think this horse has Derby potential. So the fact that he's been facing those hard-knocking graded stakes company back in the overnight ranks, you don't get to say that very often as a 2-year-old. And Mark also thinks that he shouldn't be real far from the lead. So hopefully Christian Torres will have a good path in front of him and not too much traffic, because maybe it won't take much for him to kind of just, get goofy or, just kind of run a little bit more green. But hopefully, when they do get more races under their belt, they do learn. I mean, they're young animals, just like young puppies. You just got to teach them the right and correct way to go about things.
We touched on this last week. These 2-year-olds, they just peak at different times. It's like a school kid, really. I mean, sometimes you see these kids and just out of the blue one night they wake up and they can read really well all of a sudden, for example. Or an athlete in school who they have to take time to grow into their bodies, and others are the exact opposite. They look like they're going to be good, and then they just sort of tank out.
Like when you see a lot of babies out in the field running together, it's like, okay, who's going to the front? Who's coming from behind? You kind of do get a little bit of an ideal of who has that drive and has that intuition. Race number 8 is for 2-year-old fillies, and this is a maiden special weight, but it's one of those restricted that I absolutely love. It is for horses that have sold for $75,000 or less, or RNA'd, which is a buyback, for $75,000 or less in their last auction, and they are going to sprint 6 furlongs. A field of 10, and the morning line favorite just to the inside, another McPeak 2-year-old, Complex Secret with Julien Leperoux.
Complex Secret last time out didn't put up her best race with no excuses, but takes 2-month freshener here and now is in this spot here. I went with Tarabella on the inside of that rival. Draws the rail, not a great spot, but this horse first time out showed speed and weekend. My dad had a friend named Howard Hunt we used to sit with. Not the Watergate Howard Hunt. This is a different Howard Hunt. And his favorite angle was a horse that first time out showed speed and weakened. And second time out, they have a little more stamina. Now, Tom Amos, who's the trainer of this horse, he's pretty good first out. He has him fit, ready to go first time out. But this race was also on the turf. He's by Quality Road out of a Tisnow mare with Christian Torres aboard. I believe that this horse getting on the dirt is an interesting prospect.
It's interesting. Tarabella broke on the outside of the gate, literally 12 of 12, goes to the opposite end today on the main. I'm going to go to the outside of the starting gate with the number 10, Sight to See. This is one of two McPeak contenders and not the 9-5 favorite. I'm going to go for a little meat on the bone at 5-1, Manny Escobar aboard. Debuted sprinting at Churchill to run 8th against open maiden special weights. But I love the outside draw today. She broke from the 2-post last go. She gets a more conducive post position, and I like that they keep her at that maiden allowance condition, even though it is that restricted to 75,000 auction. She worked 2/5 faster than her stablemate, who is favored here on December 8th. So I think she's got a little bit of quite a bit under the engine, and McPeak does very well with those in their second time out, about 17%, and the barn does very well with runners having made their last start at Churchill Downs. So pretty interesting. He's loaded for bear with the 2-year-olds, as he is every year, and I'm very happy that a lot of them are here in the Spa City. Race number 9 is for 3-year-olds and up, a $50,000 tag or a 2 other than allowance condition, and they'll sprint 6 furlongs for the victory. And here we have another Norman Mark right next to each other with a 5 and 6. I just think that's so cool. But the far outside goes to the number 8 Chiringo, who comes off a significant layoff, hasn't raced here since Kentucky Derby Day, but that did produce a win.
Did produce a win, that's right. And this horse was fantastic in his last 2 races here at Oaklawn. I like that Sippy isn't putting this horse in for a tag because he's pretty aggressive with the spotting. He's not scared to drop, put him in for a tag, and get a win. Has some bullet workouts on the page. He's drawn outside of the other speed. That's a big positive. This horse is undefeated going 6 furlongs, and he's 2 for 3 on dirt. So even though he's run 15 times, he's only had minimal dirt experience, and it's very clear that he's a dirt horse. So I don't think those 2 races last year were a fluke. Sippy Contreras, 21% off a layoff over 180 days with his trainees. So that tells me he's going to have this horse fit, and I'm looking at the work pattern, and it sure looks like this horse will be fit. So he is going to be my pick. He's the morning line favorite. It'll be interesting to see how the betting public plays this, because I could also see the betting public steering away because he's coming off a layoff, and there are no slouches in this race.
No, there are not. I'm going to go with a bit of a price, 6-1 with the number 5, Awesome Aaron, Norm Cassie, giving the leg up to jockey Ricardo Santana. It was a huge effort last out off of the win and $40,000 claim. Returned at Churchill, did go over the slop at 7.5 furlongs against second-level allowance runners, and was very forwardly placed, but wound up third also that day at a price about 9.5 to 1. That race did produce 2 next out winners. I love a good key race, and also today cuts back to 6 furlongs, the distance of the last victory. And it's also a very productive trainer-jockey duo between Norm Cassie and Ricardo Santana Jr. We're going to close it out. Race 10 on this Friday the 13th card, and this is an open $7,500 claim for 3-year-olds and up, set to go 1 mile. Did have several scratches, taking out numbers 1, 2, and 5, but your morning line favorite not affected. All the way on the outside, Cozy my boy, Christian Torres aboard for trainer Abel Ramirez Rodriguez, and a lot of you might be thinking, who the heck is that? That is who has taken over for Carl Broberg. So if you look and see, it's End Zone Athletics that is the owner, and that is the new Carl Broberg barn.
And he's done well. I mean,
Yes,
he's
he has.
24% this year,
Yes.
so he knows what he's doing. I am sure that Abel is very happy that there are 3 scratches in this race. Going a mile from post 11, it's not easy to win from there, but now he's in the 8 hole, and that
Yes.
makes it significantly easier. Not easy, but it is easier. I'm going to try to beat him. I just remember this horse, though, last year ran in a race from off the pace on February 17th. You couldn't find more trouble with this horse from the quarter pole to the 8th point. He still won.
When they get in that much trouble and win, you can't train that into a horse.
No.
I mean, that's impressive all day.
Just has the grit to win.
Yep.
And he does, and he's a hard-trying horse, but I'm still going to try to beat him. With the runner right to his inside, that's ahead of the game. I could have stronger opinions today. I didn't have the strongest opinion in some of these races, but I found a price here that I think has a shot. This horse last time out ran third at FanDuel for Scott Becker on September 28th. Takes a couple months off, comes here. I think he's the speed of the speed. I know Cozy, my boy, went to the lead and won last time out. He also went 25 and 50. So this horse is not a lead type of horse. He just was there because the pace was slow. I think that asset basis number 3 is the only one that can really pressure ahead of the game, but he is not a need the lead type, and I wouldn't think they duel. So I think ahead of the game with Joseph Romero, I think he's going to send this horse out of the gate, get to the front. And this horse, remember, just 3 starts ago for $15,000. He won by 5 at Hawthorne. He's in for 75 today, 7,500. So I feel this horse at 8-1. He could even drift up a little bit. I think he's very interesting at a price.
I love that you went with an 8-1. I went with a 10-1 to close it out with Cool Memory, the number 4 horse, the duo of trainer Steve Asmussen, Keith in the irons. Has been very consistent in the last 4 starts, all of those at Remington, never missing the board in those 4 starts. Did get a win, 2 back, scored by 5 at a mile and a 16th. Last out, faced open $5,000 company at 1 mile and sat off the pace to run third with the speed to the far outside of Cool Memory. I think this could set up very well for him to come from off the pace and make that one fail swoop run in the stretch. So I think it's cool. We're both going for a price horse to close out the Friday card. And we're not done because we have also put together a $20 show bet bonus parlay, our top pick and our long shot. Matt's going to go 1, 5, 6, 7 in his show bet parlay. I'm going evens today. I always like to mix it up a little bit with races 2, 4, 6, 8. And Matt's long shot play of the day is in the nightcap with the number 10 ahead of the game, while I am going to go 1 race prior in the feature with the 5 Awesome Aaron. And we did it again, Matt. Our top pick, sponsored by Oaklawn Anywhere, is in race 4 with Scott Becker's Wildwood Queen wearing the pink saddle towel. So a very good 10 race card. And don't forget stakes action tomorrow with the Mistletoe Stakes. So I was walking around with that mistletoe yesterday in the barn area, and people were like, "Ooh, what do you got that for?"
Oh,
like,
boy.
We're going to kiss on some horses.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
So, does your family have any Christmas or Hanukkah traditions?
Well, we all unfortunately I wasn't able to do it, but we always put up the ornaments together on the Christmas tree.
Okay.
We celebrate both holidays in the Dinnerman
I
household.
love that.
Yep. And
I love that.
Hanukkah. I want to try to do FaceTime with my parents this year and my family, and to light the candles together for
That'll be
Hanukkah,
cool.
the menorah. So we'll be doing that on Christmas as well. But always a festive affair at the Dinnerman house, and all cultures are welcome.
I'm guessing there's a lot of good food at the Dinnerman house as well.
Big time.
Yeah.
Usually on Christmas we got antipasta and spaghetti and meatballs, which is a traditional sauce that my grandmother has with
I
a
love
secret
that.
recipe. So, which I still don't know the secret, believe it or not.
One of my holiday bucket list, I would love to do the 7 fishes.
Oh, yes.
Because you have a little bit of an Italian background on my grandmother's side, and that's a very big deal in especially Sicilian culture. So I would love one time to do the Feast of the 7 Fishes.
In the Italian cultures, you never leave the house hungry.
Oh,
That is
no.
for sure.
No. That's a sin and blasphemy to leave.
It's
to leave
almost like
hungry.
it's sort of a knock if you leave food on the
You
plate.
look a skinny, manja.
Right.
Yeah.
Live
yeah.
a little bit, you know. Not good for the cholesterol
Well,
levels, but for one day we'll take it.
Now that I'm hungry, I'm going to go get a snack, and I'll be down in the paddock. You'll see Matt up in the announcer's booth. We're going to give you some paddock analysis throughout the day. Enjoy your Friday here with us. Go check out the new gift shop. Get some of your holiday shopping done and out of the way, and also go dine al fresco at the Pony Express. Good luck today, ladies and gentlemen, on the Friday 10 race card.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching and wagering on Oaklawn Park. Folks, without further ado, we now ask you to please rise and remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can now get out your pens, pencils, and programs because we now have today's changes. Here they come. Our dirt track condition listed as fast. Mostly cloudy skies today, currently 51 degrees outside, southeast winds coming in at 5 miles an hour. Again, our dirt track is fast. Here come today's changes. The first race begins the early pick 5 wager. We are taking out number 2, Red Devil from race 1. Scratch number 2, Red Devil from the opener, race 1. The second race today begins the early pick 4 sequence. Scratch number 8, Problem Solved. Number 8, Problem Solved, scratched out of race 2. In the third race on the program today, we are clear. No changes in race number 3. Turning to race number 4, the first sprint race of the day. Scratch number 5, Sarah in the House. Number 5, Sarah in the House, scratched out of race 4. In the fifth race on our program today, number 4, Traciana is a scratch. Also scratch number 11, Our Pearly. Numbers 4 and 11, both withdrawn out of race 5. Also in the fifth race, number 2, Lasco Lady is 5 pounds overweight. The sixth race begins the late pick 5 wager. We're clear there. There's no changes in race 6. Over in the seventh race on our program, number 2, Sandman is 2 pounds overweight. 7, Big Boat, 2 pounds over. 10, Rio Chama, 2 pounds overweight. Race 7 is the first leg of the late pick 4. Over in the eighth race on our program today, we're clear. There's no changes in race number 8. In the ninth race on our card, number 1, Bohemian Bow is 2 pounds overweight. And number 3, Jackman will also carry 2 pounds over. The nightcap is race number 10. In the finale, scratch number 1, Talk to Toki, scratch number 2, Julestown, and scratch number 5, Gold Baron. Numbers 1, 2, and 5, all withdrawn out of race 10. Those are all the changes, ladies and gentlemen. 26 minutes until the first race. Enjoy your afternoon watching and wagering on Oaklawn Park.
We're here to break down the basics of wagering
and the types of bets you can place
to hopefully make your day at the races less intimidating and more entertaining.
Let's dive into the basics of making a bet.
The first type of bet is to win. If you bet on a horse to win, this means your horse must finish first.
If you bet on a horse to place, this means your horse must finish first or second.
And if you bet on a horse to show, this means your horse must finish first, second, or third.
You can also make 3 equal win, place, and show bets.
This is called across the board.
If your bet is $2 across the board on horse 1,
you will spend $6 total.
$2 to win on 1,
$2 to place on 1,
and $2 to show on 1.
And if your horse comes in third, you collect the show money only.
If your horse comes in second, you collect on the place and show.
And if your horse wins, you collect on all 3 wagers: win, place, and show.
When betting at the window, be prepared to tell the clerk the name of the racetrack, race number, amount of your bet, type of bet, and the horse number. Now it's time for you to place your bets.
Good luck!